So welcome back to another video, and today we're taking the Merrell Agility Peak 5 out for a first run. It's been a while since I tested a trail shoe, so quite excited to get these on foot, and already within 1 mile they are covered in mud. What's great about trail shoes is when I like to test them, I like to go off piste a little bit and run on the trails that I don't tend to run on, and that already has been very good fun. So I'll put some of the basic specs on screen now. I'll move over here so that they appear up here, but the goal today is just a 45-50 minute easy run coming back from a marathon, so I'm just easing myself back into it, and it's kind of the perfect time to test these really, because I'm not and don't have much structure, so I can kind of go where I want in the forest, which is very lucky to be able to test these type of shoes out here. Now, a quick disclaimer before I get into my thoughts, and bearing in mind this is only just the first run, this is a pair of shoes that was sent to me for the purpose of review. However, of course, Merrell have no editorial control over this video, and I'm going to see it, and they're certainly not going to hear my thoughts before you guys hear it here first. And I'm pleased to report so far this is a very pleasant experience. Now, the reason I'm quite relieved is, in all honesty, I tested a Merrell shoe last year and I didn't end up producing a review for it because of a few issues I had with the shoe, and I thought I would be not very constructive if I put my thoughts out on a video, so I didn't end up testing it, and I felt really bad. I was a bit concerned, but I'm very grateful to be sent these, and as I said, I can confirm these are a lot better than what I tested last year. And I can confirm it wasn't the Agility Peaks that I tested last year, but these have been really nice so far. Obviously I'm only halfway through the run, but already I'm feeling good grip. As I said, going off piste, and I'll go off piste again in a minute through there, grip is really good. Weight on the shoe is decent. For a trail shoe, you expect trail shoes to be slightly heavier, not necessarily the racing trail shoes, but the more daily trail shoes to log miles in, they're going to be a touch heavier than your daily road shoes. But we're talking in my size 367 grams, which is on the heavier end of the road shoes, but in some of the trail shoes I've tested, I've been up into the 380s, 390s, especially with some of the Nike options. So this is actually quite lightweight in comparison. Right, so when I'm testing a shoe, there's a lot of things that just randomly pop into my head. So as they do, I'm just going to blurt them out on here because they might make more sense when I watch this back. In terms of the weight that I mentioned, and I mentioned a lot of the other trail shoes I've tried have been a lot heavier. So if I cast my mind back to, let's say, as an example, the Nike Pegasus Trail, number 1 was amazing, number 2, massive change, huge weight gain, 3, very similar. And I think one of those models topped 400 grams in my size. It went over, it was insane. And so that's why I'm appreciating the 367 in this one. It does feel lighter. There's a trail shoe that I used a lot about 4 years ago when I was training for a mountain marathon that I logged a lot of miles in, that this feels very similar to, and that is the Hoka Torrent 2. I'd say, who knows if the midsole bed in, as I said, first run, so please take that with a pinch of salt. The midsole might soften up. I'd say this is a bit firmer in the midsole. It's not like running on a rock. It's good cushioning, enjoyable, but it's not quite as soft as the Hoka ones. But then that was actually the downfall of the Torrent, is that despite it being an amazing shoe, the soft midsole and the standard EVA they used just bottomed out so quickly. But what I will say is I think it was about 200 miles I got in the Torrents that I put in them were magic, and this feels a very, very similar shoe. And the reason it feels similar, a lot of it is actually down to the upper. The upper on the shoe is very comfortable, very nice. The tongue is, you know, in a road shoe you get gusseted tongues with a bit of elastic that attaches to the medial and lateral sides. With trail shoes, to stop stones and rocks and debris getting in your feet, the gusset is a little bit more than just a strap of elastic, and it really wraps over the top of the foot. The only concern is the laces. The laces are those soft, spongy laces. They're the type of laces that sometimes could come undone. They're the laces that I've had in the past issues with that work loose. They don't bite. However, I have to say, I'm only 4 miles in, but no working loose at the moment. And as I said, the upper is really nice. Then you move to the midsole. It feels like a very similar, the reason it feels similar to the Torrent is kind of not necessarily the geometry, but the stack height. I don't know if they're the same. I haven't checked, but I'll put it on screen now if they are. But it does feel a very, very, very similar ride, and I've got to say, I logged a lot of miles in the Torrent, and instantly this feels like one of those shoes that I could head out and log a lot of miles. It's not going to be one of those like max cushion recovery day trail plodders, but I do feel like this is one that you could go, honestly, 2-3 hours in and have a good old run out. And I've got to say, they also run really nicely on these runnable sections as well. Overall, really positive first experience in these shoes. Obviously, bearing in mind it's just a first run, going to cover around 6 miles-ish, so it's nothing groundbreaking and certainly not full review type of material, but I've been pleasantly surprised. As I said, I really can only think in my mind instantly that the laces over a longer period of time may or may not be an issue, but again, I'm near the end of the run now and the shoe still feels really well locked down, nice and stable. Width wise, let me just show you the width. Pause the watch. So I have quite a wide foot. That's the edge of my foot there and there. This one is bigger and this one in terms of feet, so this one is always the tricky foot. This one feels absolutely fine. These are touching the edge, but certainly no pressure. Lengthwise at the end, I've gone true to size 13. I have pretty much a thumb width, which is fantastic. So yeah, again, sizing is spot on. So we'll leave it there. I'll endeavour to try and get a couple more runs in the shoe over the coming weeks, especially as we move in to the bad weather, and if I get a chance, I'll drop an update on this channel. But otherwise, as I said, good first impressions. I appreciate it, and appreciate the shoe from Merrell. As I said, first one last year. Yeah, so it's nice to get a shoe that feels good, fits well, runs nicely, and it's been a joy really from the grip perspective out there on some of these muddy, sloshy trails. So we'll leave it there, guys. I'll see you on the next one.